behind closed doors. I'm a fool for your love.
Hello everyone, my name is Anthony and I'm back here on Sports Fan Entertainment with the Anthony James Show. Today it's time to give a quick look at the AFC East. Such an interesting division because on one hand you have a team that people are going to be talking about as Super Bowl contenders, and you have another team that you'll be talking about getting the #1 overall pick. Would anybody be surprised if the Jets are picking #1 overall and the Patriots are picking number 32 overall come the 2018 draft? I don't think you should be. It's so strange that you have one team that looks like every move they've made has made themselves worse, and then you have another team where it's like, what bad move did they make? So let's get those two out of the way quick. We'll start out with the Jets. They just kept cutting and cutting and cutting players. Have you been with the Jets for a long time? Were you a former first-round draft pick? Get cut? Like, that's what the Jets did. They cut everyone, it seems like. And now you're going to a situation where who is the starting quarterback? Your guess is as good as mine, and really, do I think their quarterback of the future is on the roster right now? Heck, no. This team, it doesn't make sense, this team. It's so bad, because Geno Smith's gone, Ryan Fitzpatrick's gone, and both of them were bad. You have Christian Hackenberg, who, if I'm a Jets fan, am at least hoping gets some snaps this year, because if he doesn't get snaps, you busted on your second-round draft pick from a year ago, and it's kind of like that Geno Smith pick when it happened. I'm like, I mean, it is a position of need, but why did the Jets go that direction? And it's looking like that's the case. Sure, they decided not to play him at all last year, even in garbage games, but we'll see if that was worth it. They get rid of their leading wide receivers, Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, really good wide receivers the last few years, both gone. I can go through a list of players gone. So obviously the Jets are tanking. They're hoping for the #1 overall draft pick. Are they hoping for a new head coach too? Because I was surprised they didn't bring in a new head coach. I think that's what they're going to do, in my eyes. Probably go on the offensive side this time. I think you need more help on the offensive side, although not like the defense is that good either, especially all these moves you've made where you cut players. So if I'm the Jets, I'm looking forward to the #1 overall draft pick where you get to pick your quarterback of the future, and hopefully you see a good offensive coordinator that you can bring in and be your next head coach. As a Jets fan, if I was one, that's what I'd be hoping for. On the other hand, you have the Patriots, the defending Super Bowl champions, who've made moves to make themselves better, it seems like. They trade for Brandon Cooks. They trade for Coney Ealy. They bring in Stephon Gilmore, a #1 cornerback, from the Bills. So not only are they weakening a divisional rival, they are bringing in a #1 cornerback. Still have Malcolm Butler. This team is good. Like, what else can I say about this team? As I was making this video and I was thinking, what if Tom Brady got hurt? What if he got hurt? They still have Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not like the Packers, the Saints, maybe the Steelers. Honestly, I could list so many teams that if their quarterback got injured, this team would be done. The Patriots are not one of those. I think if Jimmy Garoppolo were to start this year, they'd still be Super Bowl contenders. And I wouldn't be surprised if they go to the Super Bowl. That's how good this team is. And partially how good Jimmy Garoppolo is, but really how good this team is. There's not really a weakness. You really have to dig deep to find a true weakness. This team won 14 games last year, and part of me is wondering, can they do worse than that? I don't think they can. I think they'll equal or do better than 14 wins, which is just crazy, because you're talking on one hand a team that could go 14-2, and the other hand a team with the Jets that could go 2-14. Just crazy to me. I don't know what will happen with the Patriots. I wouldn't be surprised if they improve their record, which is just crazy to think. Will it happen? I don't know if it actually does, but 14-2, defending Super Bowl champs, why not again? So then let's get to the interesting teams, where I actually am like, what's going to happen? Because we know the Patriots will do well. We know the Jets will suck. So the Dolphins, the Bills, what will happen here? The Bills, I actually kind of like their moves. Sure, they lose Stephon Gilmore. They lose Robert Woods, which I'm kind of like, bye. I never thought he was that great to begin with, and I think the Bills believe that too, so bye. But really, they lose Stephon Gilmore. That's the worst move here. But they do something really interesting to me. They bring in Sean McDermott. I like that move. I think that is a good addition as a head coach. The defense does need a lot of work. Rex Ryan did not do good things for that defense, believe it or not. So he needs to fix that defense, and I think this is a nice defensive mind to bring in and do that. He's a pretty good defensive coordinator, and I think he can do a good job as a head coach. I think we can be talking about him as a top 10 head coach in a few years, mainly because I think there's not that many good head coaches right now in the NFL. But I digress. What the Bills did that I found really interesting was they decided to keep their GM till after the draft, a move that I think we might be seeing more often in the NFL, which I think is pretty interesting. You've never really thought about that, well, you've spent about half a year preparing for this draft. Maybe it is best to keep them in, even if they don't really do anything. Now, is it scary that you let your first-time head coach make decisions when it comes to the draft? I think so. I think it's very scary. I can't imagine the Vikings doing that. I can't imagine the Broncos doing that. I can't imagine really any team, take away the Patriots, doing that. We saw, I like Chip Kelly. I think he was a decent head coach, but you saw him as a GM. That was a big mistake there. So I'd be worried in that regard. I don't think it was that bad of a draft, though. I guess we'll see once the players get on the field. But I look at the Bills. Tyrod Taylor, that comes to my mind because I think this season kind of goes with whatever he does. As I was making this video, preparing for this video, thinking, well, who can I compare Tyrod Taylor to? I think I have to compare him to the quarterback he used to be his backup, Joe Flacco. Both of them, to me, Tyrod Taylor is one of those quarterbacks where I don't think you'll ever truly question, is he a starting caliber quarterback? I think he's a starting caliber quarterback. When you tell me pick 32 quarterbacks right now who are good enough to start for teams, I think he'd make that list. However, I don't think we're going to be talking about him as a top 10 or even top 15 quarterback. And if you're the Bills, you don't want to have a player like that. He took a pay cut for you guys, which is nice. But again, if you're the Bills, you're going to be wanting to think about a quarterback of the future as soon as this next draft. It depends on how the Bills do. To me, Sean McDermott's kind of like Adam Gase, where I think he can elevate this talent and make them do better than what they actually are. 7-9 last year, I can see this team have a winning record, maybe even double-digit wins. But to be safe, I think we'll go 8-8 here. And finally, to finish off, the Miami Dolphins, who really surprised me last year, winning double digits, going to the playoffs, and even losing their starting quarterback and still making the playoffs. Who knows what would have happened if Ryan Tannehill played that game? What interests me is I think Ryan Tannehill had his best season yet. He's getting to that point, though, where I don't think we're going to be seeing much improvement from him. I think on that quarterback list, he does make the 32. He's better than Tyrod Taylor, but again, I don't think we're going to be talking about this guy being a top 10 quarterback. Top 15, sure. Top 10, I don't know about that. I think that's pushing it, and that's even with an Adam Gase in mind. I was always down on Adam Gase. I never thought, I just never been like, oh, he should get hired. I think especially after the Broncos had that record-breaking offense where he was the offensive coordinator, if he got hired after that year, I've been like, I don't know about that. But he did a good job his first year. He proved me wrong, and I really should have realized that. He's been a pretty good offensive coordinator for a while now. Makes sense that he has a good first year as an NFL head coach. So now the Dolphins, they didn't make a lot of big splashes in my eyes, at least. Like, they did make some moves, of course, but they didn't make all these big splashes. To me, I think the Dolphins kind of stayed the course, kept doing what they're doing, and that's good. That's good. The Dolphins won double-digit games, and part of me wants to come on here and say prepare for the Dolphins. But I don't think we're at that stage yet. 10-6, I can see that happening again. I mean, I think it's going to be hard. I think you have a lot of AFC teams that are continuing to improve. I mean, I can go through the other 3 AFC divisions, and I think the AFC North, I'd have the hardest time making cases for 2 teams going to the playoffs. But I mean, The AFC West, I think all 4 teams you can make a case for going to the playoffs. The AFC South, you can make the case for all of them but the Jaguars. That's a lot of teams to compete with, and I can see the Dolphins just being out, just not making it because it's a tough conference. However, I think I'll go, like I said, 10-6 is a good amount of wins here for them. I think they're a little bit better than what the Bills are. Of course, not as good as the Patriots, but depending on what happens whenever Tom Brady does retire, if the Dolphins can keep doing what they're doing, even if they're not like the Patriots where year after year they win the division, they could consistently be one of the top teams in this division for years to come. We'll see if that's the case. I do like Adam Gase, though. I think when you talk about why the Dolphins made the playoffs last year, he is the biggest reason, at least in my eyes. It's so funny, though. If you've watched me for a while, I've for years come on here and say the Dolphins are going to the playoffs, whether it be the wild card or winning their division. Last year was the one year I didn't do that, and of course they make the playoffs. But yeah, I will say this: congratulations to Dolphin fans. It was a while since you guys made the playoffs, so it definitely would have been nice to finally see your team in the playoffs again. That's for sure. But we'll see. We'll see. I think this team has a very good chance of being a wild card team. But like I said, we'll see what happens. Tell me what you think. What would you predict for the records of these teams? I'd love to hear that. So leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. You can feel free to come to my channel, Anthony James TV. The link's in the description. Subscribe there for NFL videos on my channel. You can follow my Twitter at Anthony James TV. That link's also in the description. And if you're new to Sports Fan Entertainment, feel free to subscribe to this channel. You can see me and plenty of other great people on this channel. That's it for today's video, and until next time, this is Anthony, I'm out. Thank you all for watching.
Behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.